It is my utmost privilege to introduce you all to a legend in classical Indian dance in the style of Bharatanatyam, Guru Srimati Rhadha Ramanathan, Kalaimamani. It is a great privilege to be in the presence of a phenomenal Vidushi such as Rhadha Auntie. Auntie has been a great inspiration to dancers all over the world. And she has also been an amazing inspiration to musicians like myself. And I have had the distinct honor of having performed with Rhadha Auntie, alongside Auntie, in a few of her amazing presentations and productions. Namaskaram, Auntie. Thank you for being with us here today. Namaha. Thank you, Auntie. As you know, I am a Rasika and an artist of Karnataka Sangeetam, and somebody who believes very firmly in the history of our immense traditions and the beauty of our Paramparya Sangeetam and Paramparya Natyam. So this conversation with you to me is priceless because we have a few moments to talk about the interaction between a Karnataka Sangeeta musician and a illustrious artist, a Natya Vidushi such as yourself. And I think some of the more common questions that people often tend to ask is, first of all, how does the interaction take place between a musician and a Natya Vidushi? And why is the musical content very important in any dance piece that is presented? And why is it important to understand the manobhavam of the composer and to understand the content of the composition from a dancer standpoint?
Yes, this is a very important aspect of it, because the music and the lyrics plays a lot of importance to the Natyam dance, the Abhinaya part of it. And especially when you know the real depth of the meaning, you are able to handle it very properly. Because if you don't understand the deep essence and deep meaning of it, so you are little go off track. So the exact meaning you want to convey it won't be there, because that's very important. Then only you will know how to handle it in a very aesthetic way. Right. Or like, for instance, for a Krishna who is a childlike behavior, it has to be childlike, but at the same time he can't be any what you call that, a kid who is naughty but not what you say for that. He can't be rude. It should have the divinity also. So when you admire Krishna, it has to be in a poetical way. So then only you can express what you like and see Krishna in a divine form. He is a child, but his mannerisms are all childlike. But we can't use it as a mundane human being. You know, we have to attribute little bit of spirituality to it.
Beautiful.
Okay. In
Samayamide matranam padapare. Rarana Sami, Tamasinchakura, Samayamide, Rarana Sami.
So no, but the Ragam venda.
Venda.
Okay.
I'll just sing the whole lines. In a 3 thara pannalama illa 2 thara pannalama?
5 thara padu.
5 thara padu. Okay. Samayamide Rarana Sami, Tamasinchakura. Samayamide Rarana Sami, Tamasinchakura. Samayamide Rarana Sami, Tamasinchakura. Samayamide Rarana tamasinsakurara samayamidera nasami tamasin sakurara.
See, the Abhinaya what I did was very spontaneous. It has not been rehearsed. It is just you want to do certain expressions, you want to bring out the feeling, so on spot you do it. If you ask me next time to do this, it won't be exactly the same, it will be in a different way. But to tell that the feeling of it, if somebody is not so experienced, who has just learned the meaning and then say, well, you have to perform. So it will be very, what do you call that, it will be flat. There won't be depth in it. So you just say, if you are going to be like that.
Samayamide rarana sami tamasin chakurara. 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 Beautiful, Auntie. So you're saying the meaning is very literal when you have not understood
Exactly.
or internalized
Exactly.
it. Okay. Because the first expression that you did was so subtle and yet so deep.
Very bubbly. It comes from your heart. And then it comes deep inside and say, please come, why don't you come? And look at these birds, they say, just see how beautifully they make. Why don't you also come here? Come. So that sort of an improvising, here it's not there. You just say, Samayamite, please come. I beg you, please come. So these are the things you repeatedly tell.
So if a dancer is looking to receive that kind of an in-depth training, the understanding of a piece, and not only literally portray it, as you showed in the second version, what does a dancer have to do to go through that kind of understanding?
First of all, it is an experience. The more and more you perform, and more you learn so many things. Like if you watch some programs where some little things will really go into your heart, and it's not by a style, it is not by the tradition or anything like that, but little things will capture your heart. So without that knowledge, when you dance, that will start coming in your movement and in your feelings and in Abhinaya. So this experience is a lot of thing, it matters. The more experienced dancer, the more you watch dancing, the more you study into it, go depth into it and say, well, why not I'll do this? Why not this is so different? Why not I handle like that? So you improvise on it, different new things which you have not done it before. So it will be a rare treat for the eyes when you handle it in a different way.
The experience for me, my own personal experience, has greatly been shaped and honed by Nati Vidushis like you. I want to first open by saying that because not all vocalists have the opportunity to perform for dance. And the reason why that experience is completely different from a stage performance as a concert artist experience The reason it's very different is because as a concert artist, we have our own set of rules of how we are going to project a concert and the format and what piece follows what. And we have a certain amount of liberty in how many times we can sing a line or how we do the expression. But my own understanding from performing with you, Auntie, has been that it is very important for the vocalist to understand the dancer's manobhava, because your expression and the way you choose to portray the content of a composition is basically what I have to shadow. I can't be on my own thread, and it's not as simple as only counting the number of times I'll sing the first line.
Exactly.
Or the number of times I'll sing the Anupallavi or the last line. So much of it, and I'm still learning in this regard with Auntie, so much of it has very much to do with observing the dancer and noting your expression.
Yeah. There's one thing I have to tell you. I have seen musicians having a book in the hand and go through the lines and say this is number of times, that's all. But while you are concentrating on the book, you must watch the dances also. Then you are able to understand what they are dancing.
Right.
Then if you understand that, then you will be able to get that bhava.
Absolutely. And a lot of your gestures also represent a height of ecstasy or a climax. And as a musician, I feel it's my duty to ably represent that in the music.
Exactly.
If you're singing or depicting a very, very high tone, and I'm singing the same repetition in a very flat way, then I'm not doing justice to your dance. The joy of knowing that Auntie is not just a amazing dancer, but she is also an incredible Sangeeta Rasika who will favor Ghanaragas, one of the things that we both completely connected with from day one. She will favor the Ghanaragas and the Ghana Patam of all the Padams and Javalis and Varnas, and to her, the attractive quality of the Natya is less important than projecting the depth of the art. And as a musician, it inspires me as well, because then it teaches me that my role is not just to be an attractive vocalist on stage, but to aptly represent the depth of her Natyam as a musician.
Because if she is able to understand what I am doing, and little bit of Natya also, when you should know little bit of it. Absolutely, you are ignorant of all the stage and you have to sing only number of times. So that bhava is not there at all.
Absolutely. So as a musician, when I have to prepare for any type of a piece, for a Mallari with Auntie, or for a Varnam, for even a Pushpanjali, I always try to speak to the artist. And in my case with Auntie, I have always had the advantage of being able to sit down and talk to her and say, Auntie, what is this piece trying to convey? What is my role here? Is it purely in Nritta? Does it only involve primarily footwork?
Yeah.
Pushpanjali involves this.
Ama.
And a Jatiswaram is mostly focused on Nritta, mostly focused on the Laya aspect and the accuracy. But when you come to a Varnam, it actually, Ningale Cholunga Auntie, a Varnam usually has a collection of all of this.
All it, every stanza, you are able to emote nice stories based on the gods of the particular song with the lyrics, so that it will go and woven like every episode will be woven like a silk thread, like a sari. So it will be step by step, step by step, you have the thing flowing. So from one story to another story, it's all based on gods only, all the sancharis, what we are going to do. Like hero, heroine, Nayaka, Nayaka Bhav. So, if it is going to be connected with God, we need Shringara Bhakti. So it can't be only Shringaram at all, because half the people nowadays do this abhinayam for Shringara Bhakti without Bhakti at all, because I could see only Shringaram there. When you say like you are addressing as a Lord, like a Shiva or something like that, and you say, and just say how beautiful. But it's only Shringaram. See, you're addressing a person who's just a human being, not God. So we need to address the person. Think is like a God. You have to think he's a God. How will you do? Because there are a lot of Shringaram in every aspect of God in Varnams we have. We have on Muruga, we have on Shiva, and Ganesha. So many things are there. But each one we have to portray in a very divine way, where it is not very voluptuous, not over sexy, because I have seen people, for instance, you just say Maniviche Konavarna, and then you run back and try to remove your the thing blouse, and then feel shy. See, those things you don't do, like addressing a human being. So, there you don't have divinity attached to it. The Shringara Bhakti is a very tricky thing.
Yeah.
Our style is very, very, very famous for the subtle nuances. There's nothing will be exaggerated and nothing will be overdone on the stage at all.
But a complex piece like a Varnam, from a singer's standpoint, I have to adequately support Auntie in the Abhinaya. This is what Auntie has told me, in the Abhinaya as well as the Nritta, because Varnam is complete with both. It has the exquisite footwork, it has the elaborate, detailed, sancharis, it has the emotional expressions, so all of these tie in. So from a musician standpoint, every vocalist that ever accompanies a dancer on stage has a duty to do their homework with the artist, to say what is being conveyed and where would you like me to carry this to a climax. Am I going to be dramatic in my expression, or would you like me to play it more subtly? Can I use my traditional background to approach this in a very majestic way, or do you require me to be at places? Do you require me to be a little more dramatic? Do you need me to enhance? Do you need me to create a climax? These are things that we look to the artist to educate us on, because from a musician standpoint, what we present on a concert platform has a completely different expression. Where the expression varies is in sangatis, in the way we would render a sangati. The way we present a song on stage as a concert artist versus the way it is presented on stage with a dancer also varies depending on the dance school, and also depends a great deal on the dance parampara. Auntie's traditional background and her extremely authentic backing allows for very subtle movements and very subtle expressions to convey very complicated thoughts. There are other dance schools where they explicitly come out and ask vocalists, can you please be dramatic? Can you please be more romantic when you sing? Can you sound, like you're giving us a climax throughout the song? Whereas in Auntie's method of learning and in their school, traditional method of expression, it is reserved for only certain moments. And for a vocalist, it's represented only as a more enhanced sangati. The variation of that line is presented in a climactic way depending on whether it is a higher climax or a lower moment. So something like that. So if I were to represent it in music.
But Devar Munivar? When you say, Govinda Vaikunda, You think about Venkatachalapati, how beautiful it is. Here when you see the musicians singing, they dramatize it and go from down, up and go and stop in one pitch, high pitch, where it is not bhakti at all. You don't get that bhakti there.
It feels like dramatic climax.
Dramatic
instead of
thing. You know,
feeling.
the way you go and stop there just to build up a climax, so that, you know, when you go, you can hear some of the musicians, when they go very, very high, people clap for it. Because you know pretty well they are heading for it. So we don't want claps there, it's only bhakti. Where is the lyrics, what Lalgudi has written? Govinda Vaikunda Anandam Niye. So, அந்த வைகுந்தா ஆனந்தம்ங்கிறச்சே அது பக்தியில் போய் நிற்கணும் அப்படியே, where you get goosebumps. That's how it should be. It's not dramatize it. That's what I feel.
Absolutely correct, Auntie. Actually, a great example is a Viruttam. Auntie did a beautiful Viruttam that the words begin with Adum Mayilai Uruveduttu. Okay, where she is representing a beautiful peacock. So that line gets repeated innumerable number of times because Auntie is doing abhinaya to portray how Karpagambal comes in the form of a peacock. So she is actually drawing out the entire story, leading to the end where Karpagambal comes as a peacock. And so, you know, the Sanchari from the musician standpoint begins in a very tame way, but then it builds up depending on the moment. So you have Adum Mayilai Uruveduttu Adum Mayilai Uruveduttu. So all of these are lower Sanchari moments where she's painting the story. And then when Auntie is trying to do the dance as a peacock, Adu Mayilai, Mayilai. Auntie did the abhinaya here as if she was the peacock dancing back and forth. Adum Mayilai Uruveduttu Adum Mayilai Uruveduttu Adum Mayilai Uruveduttu Adum Mayilai Uruveduttu. So watching Auntie dance and depending on her expressions, it is my duty, not just my job, but my duty to enhance based on her movement. So I have to take the raga to represent it with the sangatis, with the expressions correctly.
Suppose you say you're walking like a peacock, she'll put the sangati exactly like that.
Adum Mayilai Adum Mayilai Uruveduttu. So my responsibility is to ensure that the music is not in an independent track from the dancer's expressions. It is my duty at all times to ensure that I am uplifting the performance.
So
So, Auntie, if there were 5 things you could tell dance students of today and performing artists of today, Bharatanatyam dancers, to improve on their performance or things to take note of, that they should always pay attention to, what would those 5 things be, Auntie?
The first, you have to practice the 3 speeds of Adum set. All the, how much ever each one style has so much of variations of Adum sets of 3 speeds. You must practice it daily. Whether there is going to be a program or not, you have to practice it daily. And once you are on the stage, corrections won't be there at all. You will know how is your parvai, how is your body language, how is your posture. So automatically will come when you start practicing like this. The next one is you have to have the body language with your clean Rita with a Natyarambam position without jetting the back and coming forward. So I see the dancers today when they practice a lot of Aramandi. You don't need so much Aramandi. It is not Aramandi, it's Mukka Mandi. So when you almost go to the floor, we think, oh, the dancer's Aramandi is great. But it is not like that. Because your body posture goes off, leaning forward. Your vertebra is not erect, straight. So because of this, that one goes away. You don't need so much of it. And whenever you are going to be doing the nritta, you do it properly, not only stomping the feet, very hard. It's not that. But you should have a grace also when you do it. The movement should have a lightness. When you jump, it can't be very heavy. It has to be like a deer jump. My guru used to say you have to jump like a deer. You have to be very light on the stage. When you jump high jumps, you can see some of the dances, so beautiful they do it now. And anything and everything, your abhinaya should not be too much of what you call that, exaggerated movements. Don't be exaggerated. You can convey it in a very, very simple, in a very, very beautiful way which touches your heart, but not exaggeration. Exaggeration makes your face very garish and your movements very vulgar, and unnecessary body language comes while you dance. This is very, very important.
It is so important for a musician to want to keep their paddhati and patantaram. And Auntie has always understood that. In fact, we had a amazing impromptu last minute performance which I cannot help talking about. When we did Chintaye Hariharam, Auntie, the night before the performance was to be presented on stage, she suddenly, out of a whim, she said, Natamadi Tirinda, Panla Madi Niketa. And I said, Auntie, Natamadi Tirinda is a very exquisite piece in Kambhoji Ragam that is very rarely presented in the Arikudibani of Rendungattan Kala Pramanam. It is a very difficult Kala Pramanam to dance to. I said, Auntie, I don't know the typical Aditala version that everybody does. I only know the Rendungattan Kala Pramanam. This Rendungattan Kala Pramanam of Natamadi Tirinda, the way Auntie danced, I know that at one point I had forgotten to move on to the next line because I couldn't believe that I was experiencing this on stage with an amazing dancer who was able to dance to something that even musicians find hard to sing to. So, just to give you an example, the song goes like this. It's a very Vidambakala Khandachapu. Natamadi Tirinda una didadkal udavamal mudamana pe ya Natamadi Tirinda una didadkal Udavamal. So you can see how difficult it is to even hold this layam. Auntie not only held it, but she danced some of the most complicated abhinaya movements and Rita to this. And
Can we get a glimpse?
that
it is like teasing Shiva. What happened to your leg? You have such a dancing legs, and what happened? You have broken your knee, is it? Why are you limping? What is it? So,
and that limp that auntie demonstrated was to this Rendangatankala Pramanam Khanda Chapu, which is so difficult to do. Iranirai chumandiro nirupana meyenitanil திருநீரை சுமந்தீரோ நெருப்பன மேயனீதனில். All of this was done with Nrita. And it was literally impromptu because auntie had taken in the song. And she had internalized the song so beautifully that the footwork along with the abhinaya just went hand in hand. It was amazing. It was amazing, and from a musician's standpoint, it was a perfect example of how our duty is to always enhance the natya.
So when it comes to Ninda Shruti, there's a lot of humor also attached to it. So people laugh the way.
I was chuckling on stage because auntie was holding her knee and limping on stage to Layam when she did this portion of Umadu,
and when you stand like that, like a Shiva, and lose balance and just sit down like that and look. Ayayo.
So the only qualm is not to make the music only a source of repetition or dramatic expression, but for the music to also stand out in the patantram vari that it belongs to allow it to also flow with the weight and the ghanam of the sangeetam. Hopefully without compromising the style so much that we only serve to dramatize, I think. Thank you again, Rhadha auntie, for giving us this immense opportunity.
Shri.
Adina
Depadiyo. Yeah.
Natanam neer adinade படியோ
அந்த பதம் இருக்கே எனக்கு நிருபதம் நினைக்க வரமருள்வாய் ஸ்ரீராமச்சந்திர ராமாயணம் பூரவே பண்ணிடலாம் மேலக